Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on Corporate Governance Platform, proudly brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. I am your anchorman, Tunde Odeyemi. Today we want to take a look at entrenching governance principles in the new normal, opportunities and challenges. And I have with me here in the studio a distinguished fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria as a guest, Mr. BABASEGUN ADEWUNMI. Mr. BABASEGUN ADEWUNMI is a legal practitioner of over 26 years at the bar, a Chartered Secretary and Fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. ADEWUNMI is also an associate member of the Chartered Mediators and Conciliators of Nigeria, ICMC. He bagged his Bachelor's of Law degree at Ogun State University, Agoiwoye, now Olabisi Onabanjo University. He proceeded to the University of Lagos, Akoka, where he bagged his Master's of Law degree. He subsequently joined the services of Pond Oil Producing Limited, one of the foremost indigenous exploration and production companies in Nigeria, as a legal officer and rose to the position of head of legal before leaving the services in 2015. As a member of ICSAN, he is currently a member of the Syllabus Development Committee of the Institute on Corporate Administration. He is also a member of Law Reform Committee of the Institute and currently a lecturer in corporate administration. Mr. ADEWUNMI is a community leader and chairman of Seaside Estate Resident Association, SERA, located in Ajabadore, Lagos. Mr. ADEWUNMI, you are welcome to Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you, Doctor, for having me.
And thank you for finding time to join us on the program.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, we want to discuss the entrenching governance principles in the new normal. We want to look at the opportunities and the challenges. And I would like to start this conversation by asking you, just like I do ask many of our guests that have been coming here, how would you define the term corporate governance?
Corporate governance basically can be defined as a system whereby a company puts in place effective governance practice control in accordance with laid down procedures, regulation, and legal regime available within the environment.
What does the term new normal mean to you?
The term new normal is interesting. However, it's not a new concept.
Okay.
But before talking about what it means, it's also good to understand the perspective of a normal situation. A normal situation usually will arise as a result of existing conduct which is in accordance with normal pre-existing standards.
Wonderful.
But when you talk about new normal, it was a concept that was coined by one Roger McNamee. The interesting thing about it is that new normal talks about a state of an economy, a society or country following an experience occasioned by crisis. So that situation is like following that crisis, what situation would the society be? How would they react to the new situation of things? How would they adapt to a situation? And of course, new normal concept has been tested following the evolution of the First World War, which actually began on the 1914 to 1918. It was tested. It was a concept that was looked at following that era. Again, in addition, during the 2007-2008 global recession, the issue of new normal also actually came up with regards to how the global economy will adapt to the challenging situation arising from the global recession. Also, during the September 11 crisis, new normal was also considered as one of the necessities for adjustment prior to the pandemic COVID-19, which of course occurred in Wuhan, China in 2020. So it's really not a new concept, but the whole process about new normal is how a company can adjust to the situation, which of course flowing from a crisis situation to a non-crisis situation.
How a company can adjust to a situation flowing from a crisis situation. Actually, from your submission, new normal is not new.
It's not.
It's not new.
No, it's not.
Okay, given your definitions of what new normal is and what corporate governance is, what will you say about the role of corporate governance during this new normal? Is it enhanced, or has it become of less relevance?
Corporate governance has even taken a greater stage following the pandemic situation and this current situation of new normal. Wonderful. Interestingly, as a result of the consequences of the existing situation of new normal, a lot of companies have had to make series of adjustments with regards to how they can meet the challenging situation. And of course, it's also interesting that despite the situation occasioned by new normal, it is also still imperative on companies to ensure that they comply with corporate governance principles, because the failure to comply with those principles, as enunciated in corporate governance code of practice, it's one of the symptoms of a corporate failure. So corporate governance has become more relevant, even better than the way it was before. So it's important that organizations make conscious effort to ensure full compliance with the provisions of the corporate governance code.
Okay, if corporate governance has become more relevant in this dispensation, what are then the opportunities that the new normal has brought into corporate administration?
The opportunities are enormous. One of the obvious opportunities that new normal situation has presented to us globally is the introduction of technology.
Wonderful.
Now, businesses can be conducted online through the various methodologies that have been deployed. Meetings are held, board meetings can now be held properly. Articles of association of various companies have now needed to be adjusted and amended so that to allow companies hold virtual meetings. So it's been very helpful in terms of opportunities. And of course, to a reasonable extent, this situation has also helped in terms of saving of costs. Some organizations have realized the need that they might not even need to have a permanent office for operation, and all the activities can be carried on online without any issues. And whatever decisions taken as good as been taken in a proper official setup. So many opportunities, cost saving, and of course, it also affords even the employees that are rather supposed to be at work and are operating at home, it gives them some flexibility. They have better time for their family, and they also try as much as possible to manage the situation of working remotely, as well as ensuring that they also discharge the responsibilities that they are being paid for.
Huge opportunities there, huge opportunities. Then, what are then the challenges you can think of that the new normal has brought into corporate administration?
Yeah, it has brought a lot of challenges as well. One of the obvious challenges, which of course constituted an advantage, which is technology, in Nigeria, is also has its negative implication arising from unstable power. Power instability, which is an advantage, but is equally a disadvantage to us in Nigeria. Because if, yes, parties agree that, okay, we're going to hold virtual meeting, if there are no generators, it becomes a challenge. Then one of the other challenges too, for some organizations, they have also led to the termination of employment on account of the fact that the obvious challenge is a situation where some companies can no longer operate as a growing concern, and they have had the necessity to reduce the workforce, so which is a great challenge. Then even the supply chain of a lot of companies are threatened because of the need to get products as at when due. There are a lot of scarcities, and it's becoming a challenge for organizations. So interestingly, as a result of all these challenges, companies are now devising various options, various alignments are being made so that company can adjust the overall program so that it can operate efficiently and in a reputable manner.
Okay, despite the huge opportunities, the challenges cannot be overlooked anyway. However, I'd like to take you to the issue of sustainability. You know, sustainability is a cardinal principle in corporate governance, right? What tips can you give corporate organization on how to ensure sustainability in this kind of a period?
Sustainability is very key. In fact, Principle 26 of Code of Corporate Governance talks about sustainability. The objective of sustainability is for an organization to ensure that it has policies and procedures that talks about environment, social, health, even the working condition. And when an organization is able to put in place some of these practices and processes that relates to the environmental, because a company must ensure that it demonstrates that it has a reasonable corporate social responsibility, which is a valid fact. So the recommended position with regards to Principle 26 is that companies should have policies and procedures. These policies and procedures should address the issue of gender equality. That's one of the issues that sustainability looks into. Then the position of physically challenged persons. Reasonable provision must be made. Over in the United Kingdom, every organization has a responsibility to ensure the ingress and egress of physically challenged into the organization. And that's why even their parking lots in the UK, you'll find out that when you see a design of a wheelchair in a particular place, the implication. And recently, I visited Lausa and I saw that kind of arrangement. So when you have a diagrammatic representation of a wheelchair in a particular parking lot, what it implies is that it's only for physically challenged. Yes, someone that is not physically challenged is not required by law to park in those places. So you should, a reasonable company must make provision for the convenience and comfort of a physically challenged, in addition to the social environment that the company operates from, in addition to the health-related issues, even as it relates to when your staff is challenged by any form of disease. Companies should make cautious effort, companies should devise policies, and these policies must be monitored. Its implementation must also be monitored to ensure effective discharge of the board responsibility. So it's critical.
So what you are giving as a tip here is that a reasonable company should be able to be socially responsible to be sustainable.
Yes.
All right.
That's the implication. There has to be effective social responsibility. And your social responsibility relates to your relationship with your immediate environment, relationship with your community, immediate community or host community, which is very critical. And these are symptoms of a corporate social responsible company.
Okay, do you agree with this statement that succession planning as a governance principle has become more critical during the new normal than it used to be?
Yes, succession planning is critical because, quite unfortunate, a number of companies in Nigeria are not set up to have a survivor symptom, and it becomes critical in this kind of situation. Whoever it is intended to take over the position must be given the opportunity to get involved at the beginning, so that you understand the processes, you understand what it takes. If you are the type that is not knowledgeable in technology, it's that time that you really get to get your axe onto the management of the organization, so that you can understand the processes, the tenets, the objective, and how things are done. So that when you eventually take over as the MD, or whatever in the organization, you will know how these responsibilities can be effectively carried. And of course, when these are effectively carried out, it's one of the things that leads to the achievement of the corporate objective of an organization.
Okay, succession planning has become more critical in the new normal era. On that note, we'll go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
You are welcome back. It's still Corporate Governance Platform, proudly brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. And we are talking about entrenching governance principles in the new normals, opportunities and challenges. And I still have with me right here in the studio, Mr. BABASEGUN ADEWUNMI, leading in the conversation. Yeah, we talked about the importance of succession planning, especially during the new normal. I would like to ask, the new normal has witnessed many companies switching from on-site to working from home mode. What are the pros and cons of this kind of remote working model?
Yeah, interestingly, new normal has both advantages and disadvantages. One of the obvious advantages of remote working really is that it saves time. It saves a lot of time in terms of the fact that the time it will take an employee to board the vehicle or drive from the home to the on-site, that time is saved. Then it also provides an opportunity for flexibility in terms of you can adjust to your schedule in order to suit your comfort and convenience without necessarily losing the fact that you have an obligation to perform your responsibility and role as an employee of any organization. So that schedule adjustment is there for you. It's easier for you to adjust your schedule. Then for the organization, it's also very helpful in terms of technology. So it has also enhanced a technology-driven companies all over the world now, whereby businesses are conducted online, transactions are consummated, meetings can be held on micro Teams, Zoom, and other form of technology, which of course at the end of the day will assist the company in achieving its ultimate desire. Then it has its disadvantages, no doubt about that. A recent research was carried out between March and April this year in about 7 countries, which involved US, UK, Singapore, and a number of other companies. And one of the obvious disadvantages they observe about remote working is the mental challenge. When you sit on a system over a long period of time, research have shown that it has a negative implication on your sanity, on your mental state. So that is one of the obvious features. So, which of course it has its negative implication on the health of an employee. But again, the good side of that effect is that even if you have a medical challenge arising from such mental state, you have in Nigeria, we have the Employees Compensation Act 2020, which was enacted during the presidency of Jonathan Goodluck Ebele, which of course the essence of that Employees Compensation Act is actually to ensure effective compensation for employees who in the course of employment suffers any injury, disease, bodily harm, and those categories of person can be compensated even though they were working online, they were working remotely. And it will be considered as an extension of the workplace. So one of the interesting things, which of course the new normal has brought about, is the fact that courts can comfortably interpret any injury or damage or disease which occurs while working remotely as an extension of the office environment. So as a result, once the company has fulfilled its obligation in accordance with the Employee Compensation Act Section 33 by contributing at 1%, then it's proper for the person in question to be compensated in accordance with Employees Compensation Act.
I'm interested in this compensation thing, but if time permits, I would likely revisit it. But let me talk about remuneration. You know, with the effect of the new normal as well is that remuneration issue has come to fore against the background of reduction of salary made by some companies in order to cope with the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, what advice will you give to companies on how to get their remuneration policy right?
My advice to company, first and foremost, I will refer to the provision of the Corporate Governance Code, Principle 16, which talks about remuneration. And the recommended objective in accordance with that Principle 16 is the fact that it requires company to remunerate our employees fairly, transparently, and in a manner that it will motivate the staff. Despite the fact that there are challenges arising from the new normal, what is expected of a new company or of a responsible company is to engage stakeholders' engagement. It's important. A lot of companies indeed terminated employment, but what is proper under the present circumstance is to involve all stakeholders so that you let them understand the challenges that you're facing. And I'm happy some banks, during the advent of COVID in Nigeria, what they did was to hold a stakeholders meeting with the employees and, of course, impressing on them on the real need for them to actually reduce salary. And interestingly, it's important to also mention that some of those banks, which of course I wouldn't mention name, when the situation improved, they actually called the staff back to tell them that, okay, that salary that was reduced from 60% to 22% is now restored back to the position. So that is very interesting. And again, in other parts of the world, they also indulge in what is called a flow leave. A flow leave. A flow leave is a leave which the company, based on the current situation of things, asks the employee to go home, but they are not sacked. But during that period, they are not going to be given any responsibility to perform on behalf of the company. And during that period, they are not going to be sacked. And they are not going to be remunerated. They are not going to be remunerated, okay. And they are not going to be given any work to do. But the interesting thing about follow leave, which of course is practiced in the UK, is that once the situation improves, your employment is guaranteed, you are not sacked. Once the situation improves, you are called back and you resume your work. In fact, the recent practice in UK is that your UK government, in implementation of the flow leave, what they did was to pay a portion of the salary and allow the employer, when their fortune improved, to pay the balance, which of course has been very helpful. But unfortunately, a flow leave is unknown to our Nigerian law. So, but the interesting thing is that for organization, what is critical is engage the staff, engage the stakeholders. The stakeholder is not just the company alone. It includes the managers, the employees, even the shareholders. Let them know the reason why certain benefits that ought to be paid are not going to be paid. And the interesting thing about it is that it makes them understand the company and they are able to do what is required to ensure the sustenance of the organization.
Well, I like this flow leave idea. I hope one of our companies in Nigeria will also pick that idea and also run with it. Now, what advice do you have for companies on how to better entrench corporate governance principles in the new normal era?
Though it's challenging but it's also imperative of organization to ensure strict compliance with the provisions of the Corporate Governance Code. Particularly, there are a number of pillars which are fundamental to effective corporate governance in any organization, one of which is transparency. It's critical. Another one is accountability and security. Company must make the best effort, the best endeavor, because any variation in these are one of the challenges that could culminate in a corporate failure. So company must make the best endeavor to ensure transparency, security in so many ways, not just in terms of their physical security, security in terms of data, security to avoid situations where there will be breaches and violation of existing laws. So it's very important for organization to ensure that in spite of the challenging situation, they must operate in a transparent manner, they must be accountable, and they must ensure that there is efficient security. All this will bring confidence into the investing public so as to be sure that the company where they have invested their funds is a company that has a growing concern.
Wonderful. In less than 60 seconds, I want you to answer this last question. You are a member of ICSAN, and ICSAN is reputed as a leading voice on corporate governance. Has the Institute been doing any kind of special activities to enlighten stakeholders on governance in these challenging times?
The Institute has been wonderful. Let me start from the lectures. In consonance with the practice of new normal, our lectures now, in the last 1.5 years, has been done virtually. That's one of the advantages that new normal has also portend for us. We do our lectures in the comfort of our homes, and we have a number of attendees from all parts of Nigeria. So that's one of the advantages, unlike situations where before you need to get to Alausa or some other study center to enjoy the lecture. Now you can do that in your comfort zone. So an institute has also organized a lot of programs meant to enlighten Nigerians, meant to enlighten members on what they need to know about corporate governance. And even recently, just yesterday, there was a program on the new conversation, which was handled by a former minister, Olusegun Akangasiwe. And the beauty about that training is just to enhance public knowledge about the principles and the tenets of corporate governance. And interestingly too, in a number of amendments that have been effected lately, when the company's KAMA 2020, after it got the presidential asset, a number of programs and lectures were organized, all at exposing.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Babasegun ADEWUNMI. That is the most we can take. We thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And I hope when we invite you another time, you will oblige us.
It's always a pleasure.
This is where we wrap it up on Corporate Governance Platform. Thank you for joining us. We invite you to join us again next week, same station, same time. I remain your anchor man, Tunde Odeyemi. Bye for now.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.